It's mock draft season. Who should you be investing in with your Dynasty rookie draft picks? We're going to tell you all that and more tonight on the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
The In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, Season 4.
Cause I've been in tune, out of touch, coming off the bench, trying to shake the funk, check your stat line, see who's up, that over under hit too clutch.
And I'm trying to avoid getting carried away with the jet sweep, sleeping on a trick play, predicting all of my moves like they seen every play. And so I'm running it back, head down, get out of my way. And it's for the law with only one thing to do. I guess I'll say a prayer and put it all on the line for you. What they don't know, something they haven't seen. I find a gap on the screen and hit them right in between. Yeah, I got it, and I got it. Just one thing to say, yeah, what they don't know, something they haven't seen. I'm off that mean Joe Green, it's got me fading in between. Yeah, I got it, and I got it. The In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is April 4th, 2023. The In Between Fantasy Football Podcast is back here, delivering the good vibes as the NFL draft gets closer and closer. We'll certainly chat all about that tonight. I am Seth Woolcock, and I'm joined by a man who is a fantasy football analyst, a real estate agent, a retired professional chef, Mr. Nate Polvote. Nate, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing great, man. We're getting closer to the draft, so we can kind of start doing some of these rookie mocks, and it's fun to see how things might play out. Even though we don't know landing spots yet, it's still fun to prognosticate.
100%, man. It is that time. It is rumor mill season. And joining us tonight, no Scott Reinier, but we do have an absolute legend. He is someone who we've been blessed to watch grow up in the fantasy football industry the last several years. He's from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. He's a dog. He is Hutchinson Brown, a creator at Footballguys, DLF, and the host of his own podcast as well. Hutch, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing great, guys. Super excited for the show tonight. Thank you all so much for having me on. It's gonna be a good one. Gonna be good tonight.
Absolutely. Hutch, first time on the show. We're big fans of you.
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of interacting with you and Nurse Andy down there in Canton. Have a couple good times with you guys. Tell us a little bit about yourself to those in the audience who don't know you, man.
Well, yeah, you told them I work with Footballguys. I work with DLF. I'm Hutchinson B_FF on Twitter. That's my Twitter handle. I'm really just a 16-year-old trying to make his way in the fantasy football space. I started doing content about like 2-ish years ago, and I've really I sent out like one tweet, and it kind of just blew up, and it's taken off from there. I mean, it really has. I've gotten so many amazing opportunities, gotten to meet so many amazing, great people, and been able to be part of some crazy, amazing things at such a young age that I feel like a lot of teens don't get the opportunity to. And I feel so blessed to be able to have this opportunity to be here and do this with y'all and just talk about football and talk about fantasy football and do it. I love it. I don't know. I just love it so much. I feel so blessed to have this opportunity. Yeah. Nacho Ninjas wide receiver. I love that. There was a, for those who don't know that, there was a, in Canton, Ohio for the Fantasy Football Expo last year, there was a flag football tournament. Me and Luke Sawhook, amazing follow. You should check him out. Made a flag football team called Nacho Ninjas. We were eliminated in the first round, but it's okay. We're going to come back next year. We're going to come back next year strong. It's going to be great. But yeah, overall, I'm really just a 16-year-old trying to make his way in the fantasy football space. And I'm really trying to find a career in this. I really want to.
Well, dude, you've put yourself in front of it the last several years. And like I said, bro, we're blessed as an industry to really see you grow up right in front of our eyes. So continued success coming your way. We're sure of it. Tonight on the show, guys, we are absolutely loaded. We will be completing a Dynasty rookie draft, and then we're actually going to be comparing it before we even start to a 2022 and a 2021 rookie mock draft as well. Just so like what lessons can we learn? Because yes, we could do a rookie mock draft just up front, that alone, but we want to have lessons and takeaways with it as well. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We also have an interactive session as well. Kyle's going to be joining the rookie mock draft from his sleeper account. And then if you guys in the chat want to play along with Kyle, let him know who he should draft from his pick. Kyle, you need a little bit of help back there as well. Kyle is our audio producer. Kyle, how are you doing tonight, man? Pleasure being back with us tonight. Laptop all fixed up there?
Yeah, we got some working equipment. We're ready to rock and roll. And as far as the draft goes, I'm glad I'm not the one picking. You definitely want the viewers.
Okay, there we go. There we go. So, guys, he's going to need all the help he can get. Get in there with Kyle. Let him know who he should be taking at his pick. I'm going to be towards the front of this rookie draft. Hutch is going to be in the middle. Nate's going to anchor this thing down. We're also going to talk some good news at the end as well. So, super excited about that. And, guys, just a reminder, we just crossed 400 subscribers. So, this will be the last week you can enter for our Keyshawn Nixon signed giveaway. Hutch, how do you feel about Keyshawn Nixon, kick returner for the Packers? Got a little giveaway for him. Just about a week from now, someone's going to be walking away with that.
Yeah, I actually not too long ago, actually just a few weeks ago, I remember someone bringing up his name like on Twitter or something. I was like I remember hearing him being really good, and I was like, because I didn't get to see much of him last year, and I was like, let's go watch him. Let's go watch him play. Oh man, that dude's savage. He's awesome. I loved watching him play. He was insane this past year. I was watching some film and watching some of his biggest returns. It was wild. He was so good.
100%. So, guys, thank you so much for getting us to 400 subscribers. Nate, we're super appreciative of just being here with them every single week. So this is our way of giving back. So if you want to enter that giveaway right now, just give us a thumbs up, give us some type of emoji, let us know that you're subscribed, and then we'll make sure we enter you in that as we pull that next week. Let's go ahead and jump into things, though, guys. Let's get started with some back in the day.
They ain't make 'em like this way back in the day. Took a shot, couldn't miss way back in the day. Couldn't predict how it could all change. Don't you ever forget how far we came. How far we came. Never forget how far we came. How far we came. Remember how it was way back in the day.
All right. Back in the day, guys, we are first looking at, Nate, will you tell us what we're looking at, what league? This is I believe it's a 2022 mock draft?
This is our 2022 rookie draft that we did for this league called Moose Meat. If you guys aren't familiar with the Fantasy Moose Doug, find him on Twitter at the Fantasy Moose. Great dude, great manager. I've been in a number of his leagues, but this is one of my favorites. Picked up this orphan in the 2021 season. So this is my second rookie draft in this league. We'll get to the first one a little bit later. So this is kind of where the chips fell. I picked up, obviously, as you can see, the worst team in the league.
Yeah, 100%. I don't doubt Nate picking 101 in this one here. Hutch, what's your overall impression? Because when I look at this board, I see a lot of value that fell in it. Garrett Wilson, 105. I think he was an underrated wide receiver. People were going after the athletic freak of Treylon Burks. Christian Watson also falls too. Like, those are the two values, and George Pickens that I see right up front in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at Garrett Wilson at 105, that's because he's the clear-cut rookie wide receiver one after this year. I mean, he's arguably a top 6, top 5 wide receiver in Dynasty right now. When you look at overall, like when you look at wide receiver ranks, like you can argue that he's a top 5 Dynasty wide receiver. And I mean, Hall, Walker, both very good picks there. I feel like that's reasonable there. I'm trying to look for more like values that you found. I mean, obviously you see Willis, Ritter, and Corral, all three looking like potential busts in the second round. Those were players that you might have not wanted to pick there. I do love seeing Greg Dulcich in round 4, though. That's very interesting, seeing him all the way down there, because he's someone now that we could look at as a huge breakout candidate next year if Russell Wilson and this Sean Payton and this offense were to take a step forward. But, I mean, otherwise looking down there, you don't see tons of values. Like, you see like a couple guys here and there. Maybe they could make an impact, but nothing huge in like round 3, 4, and 5.
I think the one big takeaway for me here looking at it, Nate, is this was a very thin class in
was.
2022.
Very
You know,
much so.
very high end talent, Brees
And-
Hall, Wilson, Watson right at the top. But after that, there was a drop off. When we do this other mock draft in a second here for the 2023 class, I'm expecting it to be much more filled with a lot more promising running backs, especially in that second and third round here.
Oh yeah, there are like in this class, there are like 10 running backs you could see legit being starters in the NFL. Like this class is deep, especially at the running back position. Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry.
Nate, any final takeaways for you as we kind of close the door here on 2022, and then we will look back real quick at 2021 as well.
Well, there's a couple interesting picks I see in the last round that we got. Romeo Dobbs went 5'4",
Yeah.
and then Isaiah Pacheco going 5'6", and
Oh,
then Daniel
Pacheco,
Bellinger
yeah.
going 5'8". Now, obviously Darren Waller in New York, but there was a time last season when it looked like Bellinger was about to break out in a big way before he got basically gouged in the eye. It just goes to show you, like, you never know with some of these prospects. That's why these rookie drafts are so interesting and why we pour so much into them to try and find that sleeper guy. Like Jelani Woods in the third round. He was my first pick of this draft. I traded a ton of assets away to get better. But dude, even getting Jelani Woods, if he breaks out in 2023, which I fully expect him to, third round, that's a steal of a deal.
I'm in on Jelani Woods as well with you, man. I'm a huge fan of him, and especially if they get a rookie quarterback. You know, there is a stereotype out there that says rookies are always best friends with tight ends, and that's not always the case. It does tend to be the case sometimes, but it's that Jelani Woods is such a comfortable, safe target. His catch radius it's inside the 98. I believe it's inside the 98th percentile according to the player profiler. And not only is he a big catch radius, he's a big guy. Like you can throw, he can be covered by anybody. You can still throw him the ball, he'll make a catch. Like he is unbelievable. And not only is he big, he has a big catch radius, he's really athletic for his size. His speed scores, his burst scores, both inside the 95th percentile, I believe, or 94th percentile according to player profile. Like Jelani Woods is an excellent athlete, and if the Colts really unlock him as more of a pass catcher compared to just a blocker, which he's a great blocker. I mean, look at him, he's ginormous, like he's a great blocker. But if they unlock him as a pass catcher with a rookie quarterback, that's going to be huge. Jelani Woods could have a huge breakout in that round 3 pick. That is excellent.
I think what makes me so excited for 2023 was first what we saw in his limited usage in 2022. He proved everything you just said. He's a big target, reliable target for any incoming rookie quarterback, but also their head coach is Shane Steichen, who Goddard, and he profiles similarly to Goddard. He's bigger than Goddard, but if they can turn him into that kind of pass catching tight end, which I think Steichen can do. I mean, Jelani Woods is a top 5 tight end in 2023.
Okay. We're pumping the brakes a little bit.
I think comparing Jelani Woods to Dallas Goedert is a bit of a stretch. I do think it's a bit of a stretch.
I'm just saying the usage wise, Steichen likes tight ends. He unlocked Dallas Goedert. So why not Jelani Woods?
Sleeper episode was last week. Nate was already riled up about Jelani Woods, and then Hutch comes in here and gets him even more riled up. Nate,
I love it.
Can you take us back to your 2021 rookie draft before we go on to 2023? Because 2021 is closer to what we're going to get this year because there are the more elite prospects in that first round, specifically at that quarterback position. So if you can pull up that real quick for us as well, let's get that going here. All right, pull that up. Thank you, Nate. All right, so let's look at the top here. I expect this mock draft that we do just here in a minute will be very similar. It's going to be quarterback heavy at the top. You're going to get one or two running backs going here early, and then you're going to shoot your shot with some of these later first round wide receivers as well. So Hutch, biggest takeaways here looking back at 2021, obviously some of these quarterbacks have panned out, but then you also have picks made like Zach Wilson over Jamar Chase where they're just shaking their head.
Yeah, I think usually, when you're looking at Trey Lance or you're looking at Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, I don't know if you could call him a bust. Yeah, I think he's fine right now. I think you still got to wait for him. But yeah, Trey Lance and Zach Wilson, bust picks there. And then outside of Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, the rest of this quarterback class, not looking very great. Like maybe Mac Jones, you could put it okay, but like the rest of this quarterback class, just all busts. But I do love seeing, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the second round what a value. I mean, he was a 4th-round pick in the NFL draft. He was something I actually really liked as a prospect coming out. Me and Luke Sawhook were both pretty in on him as a prospect coming out. I didn't like seeing him drafted in the 4th round, but that definitely knocked him down a little bit. But I did like picking up the 2nd round of rookie drafts. Thankful I did, because he is a stud wide receiver now in Dynasty Fantasy Football, arguably like a top 6, top 7 wide receiver. And then Jalen Waddle in round 2. I mean,
That's
amazing.
Yeah.
Rondale Moore, though, over Jalen Waddle and over Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's brutal. That is brutal. And then you hate to see Trey Sermon in the 2nd round as well, because I mean, he's in Philly now, and like he is just, I mean, he's nothing, like literally nothing.
Yes, and that's a great point there.
Did he even carry the football in Philly once? Did he?
I think he did have a couple carries.
Did he?
Nate, are you deterred at all? We have so many of these promising prospects we're about to draft. Chase Brown, Tajay Spears. They're some of my favorite 2nd and 3rd round picks. McBride, there's this growing list of running backs in the 2nd or 3rd round. And when we look back here at 2021, most of these guys have kind of flatlined. So are you deterred at all looking back at this to maybe reach on a guy like Spears, reach on a guy like Zach Evans? Maybe
you do hear Ramondre Stevenson, Elijah Mitchell, Khalil Herbert. You have some guys who did hit. You have some guys who did hit. And if Kenneth Gainwell, absolutely you could consider a hit at that point. Like you have some guys here that absolutely hit. You also have some misses though. Yeah.
No, honestly, the way I look at these rookie drafts is if you're depending on these outside of the 1st round to really, really severely impact your team in the first season, then you don't understand how a lot of this works, because Terrace Marshall, Michael Carter, Kadarius Toney, Amari Rodgers, these are all guys that went in the 2nd round of this draft. They didn't help your team. Rashad Bateman. So if you go into it looking at it like, okay, if I can get a guy in the first 5 or 6 picks that's going to probably be a hit, like these are guys that almost can't miss, except Kyle Pitts, then you're golden. Which is why if you, I know I hate it too. Trust me, I took him 101 in a couple of drafts. But the thing is, if you notice, you look at mine, Janae Jack, I traded away picks because I got a known asset versus taking a stab on a rookie. And I think that's something important to note when you're in a dynasty draft. If you're a contender and you can afford to stash a bunch of guys on your taxi squad, fine. But if you need to build your team back up, use that first pick and then trade some away for some known assets.
Yeah, and people will be getting rookie fever in the 2nd and 3rd round. They're going to want to trade into it. I remember a trade in one of my favorite leagues a couple years ago where Deebo Samuel, before he had his breakout season, he was traded for a 2nd round pick that went for Kadarius Toney. So those are the type of moves you can be making in these 2nd and 3rd rounds. Something to consider. And I mean, like maybe you get Amon-Ra St. Brown, but maybe you get a Kadarius Toney. It really is hit or miss. Amari Rodgers taken just at the end of the 2nd round, just a few picks after Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that is the razor thin line. We're trying to help you guys make sure you're over that line and make sure you're not making these mistakes heading into this season. I want to address the chat real quick before we move on to our rookie draft. We got Dave back in the chat saying rookie fever season. Good to see Didi in the chat tonight. Appreciate you so much, Didi. We got Rich back in the chat saying frequently forgotten is how long it takes players to develop. Rookie drafts are fun, but you got to be patient with them. Really good point there from Dick. And then, all right, guys, I think that about does it looking back at the past here. We've taken some lessons. Let's go ahead and move forward to our dynasty mock draft here. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here. And I'm going to bring Kyle back on screen as well. Again, Kyle's going to be in this mock draft for the chat. So whoever Kyle's drafting, the chat's drafting. Kyle, you nervous at all? You're not too much of a dynasty nerd like the rest of us. You really need that chat to help you out tonight. You're muted as well, my friend.
I'm not nervous at all, frankly. I have complete faith in the chat that they're going to give me a good draft. You know, they've been paying attention, so they should know.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go ahead. Let's get after it right here. Let's start this bad boy up. And 101, I don't think it's going to be any surprise. Let me go ahead and mute that as well. All right, we got Bijan Robinson off the board here first.
I mean, how is it not? If you, hold on, I just want to say something real quick about Bijan. If you're on, so if you, I talked about this on my podcast recently. If you have the 101 in your rookie draft, right, and you don't want Bijan, I don't know how you wouldn't want him, but if you say, let's say you want a quarterback, let's say you want JSN, do not pick one of those guys at the 101. Please just trade down, because there are people in Dynasty who are willing to give up an arm and a leg just to move up from the 102 to the 101 to get Bijan. So
Yes.
if you're picking anyone but
Great
Bijan
point, Hutchinson.
at the 101, you are wrong. It doesn't matter if you like them more. You are wrong, because you can accumulate so much more value just by trading down and getting that next pick. Sorry, so I know you got
no. That is
I did just want to say that though. If you're picking anyone besides Bijan 101, you're wrong. You gotta trade down if you want someone else.
I 100% agree with you. Great point there, Hutch. I'm going to go ahead and make this first pick, and it's going to be about safety, fellas, and that's going to be none other than CJ Stroud.
Ooh.
And listen, I know he's not the sexiest name right now on the board, but I first learned to respect this man when he came to Penn State and put a can of whoop ass on my Nittany Lions. I got to watch him in person, and I just said, oh my God, that guy's bigger than our fucking lineman. I said, this guy is absolutely huge. 6'3", 214, college QBR in the 96th percentile, yards per attempt at 93 percentile as well. I love what CJ Stroud has done in college. Obviously, he's had a lot of big help from some really good players at the wide receiver position as well. Garrett Wilson being one of them, Chris Olave, and then of course Jackson Smith and Njigba.
You have 10 seconds. Okay, you're good.
Yeah, no,
I won't let you. Why won't let you draft him?
I don't know. We'll figure this out. Nate, what is your thought on CJ Stroud here?
I mean, he's the guy. He's the guy that you should be taking if you need a quarterback with that pick.
Really?
He's the best quarterback. I feel like he's the most talented quarterback in this class.
I think CJ Stroud, to me, Hutchinson, I think he represents a floor, and a floor that could be Jared Goff-like. Like, I think you could get a couple low-end QB1 seasons for him. I think that's probably where he is. I don't think he's most athletic.
I would consider Bryce Young more as the floor guy in this class, to be quite honest with you.
Okay. I see it with Stroud.
But yeah, they're like a 1A, 1B to me. They're so close. Like, it really depends. Like, if we see, it really depends on landing spot for them, who's going to be 101 for me. I think I'll consider Bryce Young for now, but it's a 1A, 1B. It's close.
Man, Bryce Young's size concerns me.
The size is the one thing, but I think size is something that is becoming less and less important in the NFL when you look at quarterbacks. You can see smaller guys can succeed. I think Bryce Young's be able to do fine. I mean,
I do worry about the size, Hutch.
It is a worry. But the thing is, the one thing I would look at with Bryce Young, like even with his size, like if he's under pressure, he's totally fine. Bryce Young shows so much poise in the pocket when he's under pressure. When people are coming at him, he is able to deliver the ball on point under pressure, and he's insane. I think the size does not matter here.
Is Bryce Young your QB1 then, Hutch?
Bryce Young is my QB1. I'm taking him as the first quarterback off the board, and because I mean both are going to be drafted top 3 most likely, very likely both are going to be drafted top 3. So I think it'd be very difficult for any quarterback to jump over him.
Okay. Yeah, I personally go Stroud.
It's close. It is so close. Those 3 are all in a good tier for me. Those 3 are all in that first tier for me.
Okay.
Seth, you've got Anthony Richardson up to 2. I do.
This. I like.
Look at you being all spicy.
I like the ceiling here.
I can't do it. I can't do it with him. I can't put him at 2.
Let's call on the chat here, Kyle. You were on the clock.
Oh yeah,
here.
we do have to call the chat.
We're obviously JSN top of the board right now. You also have your pick at a couple other running backs here, Jahmyr Gibbs. Chat, who do you guys want Kyle to draft for your team right now? Who do you guys think Mr. Scott should go with?
Will Levis. The price is right. You got to.
Yeah, Will Levis. No, please no.
All right, Dick in the chat. He's saying JSN. Anyone else?
Yeah, there's two picks. It's very clear. There's 2. There's only 2
You
picks.
could make the case for Will Levis here as well, Kyle. Do you need a quarterback?
There's not a case for me, Will Levis here.
I think it depends on where Will Levis lands, honestly.
Okay, Toronto Dave's saying Will Levis in the chat. It's 2-1. All right, 2-2. Will Levis. Will Levis, JSN. We need a tiebreaker from the chat here. Or Kyle, you can be the tiebreaker. It's either Levis or JSN for you, buddy.
Well, if I'm picking JSN.
All right. That's probably the pick I would make as well. So, and now I get to talk about, well, you want to talk about Smith-Jigba, go ahead. Sorry.
Well,
I just kind of feel like I interrupted you there.
Kyle, I feel like the best thing that you wanted to pick him for is because his older brother started on the Pirates opening day.
Yeah.
All right, that was half of it. The other half is I keep seeing him mock drafted to the Packers.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've seen that.
I don't like
That'd be
that for my
interesting.
Christian Watson shares.
I know. I love Christian Watson. I'd be mad. I'd be mad for Christian Watson.
All right.
Yeah.
We appreciate the chat weighing in there. They're all on JSN
thank
as
you,
well.
chat.
A couple Levis dissenters, but Hutch got his way there. Hutch, you're up, man. Middle of the draft here. What are you looking for in a rookie draft? All needs aside.
So for me here so you have 6 picks here. I think these first 6 picks are a pretty clear tier to me. It's Bijan, Jack Smith-Jigba, those 3 quarterbacks, and then Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, he could be the RB1 of a lot of classes. I think he's just, when I think of Jahmyr Gibbs, the word that comes to mind is weapon. This dude can be used all over the field, whether it's in the running game, whether it's in the passing game. Like, he can be used anywhere. And that is the future of the running back position. So a bit smaller guys that can be used anywhere. He is a extremely good route runner, like really good route runner, really good pass catcher. And when you look at fantasy football, when you look at the running back position, the guys who are dominating in fantasy are the ones who are catching passes. Like, literally over the past 5 years in fantasy football, right? When you look at the top 10 running backs, so 50 running backs, 70% of them received at least 50 targets in their season. And three of those seasons that didn't were Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry, we all know Derrick Henry's like an insane outlier, right? Like, the guys who are dominating fantasy, and you notice too, the guys who are at the top are usually receiving like 80, 90 targets. Like, the guys who are at the top of fantasy are the ones who are catching passes. Jahmyr Gibbs really has a chance. I know he's not Alvin Kamara size. He is not Alvin Kamara size. He's like 15 pounds smaller, but he has a chance to be like that type of guy in fantasy next. The next Alvin Kamara, the next Austin Eckler, like one of those guys where he can just dominate less as a rusher, more as a pass catcher, and just take over for fantasy football. I like, this is a hot take. I think there is a realistic chance that Jahmyr Gibbs is the RB1 in Dynasty after this year.
Stop. Oh, that is spicy. That is
I can see
Over
it.
every play, over every running back, I think there's a chance that he is the RB1 in Dynasty.
Here's the thing.
RB1.
He's like Hutch, like you said, he has that Alvin Kamara skill set. Well, he might not be the same size. Alvin Kamara's never had 1,000 yards rushing in a season. He caps out at like 865, right? So he's been doing everything he does without being really a goal line force on that team. That's what they've had Mark Ingram for in the past. And this year, that's what they've got Jamal Williams for. It's what they had Latavius Murray for. They always find that guy. And I think that's what Jahmyr Gibbs' future is where he's more of that pass catching back who is electric outside of the tackles, but because of his size, plain and simple, he's just not going to be a goal line guy. But you're going to see him getting those 5-yard dumps inside the red zone that he turns into a touchdown. And he could do that 14 to 15 times a season in the right situation.
Yeah, and he can do it from 20 yards out, 30 yards out. He is so electric with the ball in his hands. I believe what's his 40, a 4.46?
It was fast.
I believe it was a 4.46 40 time, which even for his small size, for a running back, that is impressively fast. Very, very quick. And watching him on film, oh my God, he's so dangerous. He's so quick on his feet. He is a weapon, just weapon. And I cannot wait to see where he lands. Like, if he goes to somewhere, like if Austin Eckler leaves and he ends up in the Chargers offense, oh my God. Like, that is just like, he is locked in as a top 3 dynasty back for me. Like, easily.
So Jahmyr Gibbs, his official 40 time on Player Profiler is 4.36. That's fast.
3.6?
4.36 40.
Maybe they're grabbing that from his pro day unofficial one, but
that might have been a pro day.
I think his combine was 4.46.
Was pro day too.
Nate, you're at the end of this draft here right now. You're up on the clock. Zay Flowers is kind of the flashiest name when I look at it here of who's left. Obviously, though, the tight end position, I know you love reaching for tight ends. You just told us that you were drafting Kyle Pitts 101.
NFL Draft Buzz and FanDuel confirm a 4.36 at the combine.
Okay.
Second fastest among all running backs in 2023.
Nate, can you get behind a Mayer or a Kincaid here, or is the pick Zay Flowers for you?
So it's not Zay Flowers for me because I think it's going to take him a minute to kind of get into the game. And I am going to go tight end, and I don't care.
You're
I
sick.
don't care.
You're sick.
Fast people look not fast. I love it.
Here's the thing. I love Dalton Kincaid. I know everybody's talking about Michael Mayer, but Dalton Kincaid is he is the prototypical pass catching tight end. And I'm looking for that steal here. And I don't think I want Kincaid on my rosters. Okay. He's not going to come back to me at 111 or at 211. There's no way. I'm just simply not going to get him there.
I was hoping to get him in the second round, if I'm being honest. So
look, I know he's not going to come around, and I'm still, you know what? And I'm still okay with having reached on Kyle Pitts a little bit because there's still a world in which he becomes relevant. Unfortunately, I don't think it's this season. I think he needs a new team. But Kincaid, depending on where he lands, dude, this guy could be an impact player day one, plain and simple, because of the type of player he is, and because of the type of offense he was in at Utah. And dude, have you watched film on him? Have you watched some of these crazy, ridiculous catches he makes?
I love him. I absolutely love him. Him and Zay Flowers are hard because Zay Flowers feels like the sure thing. And whoever had this 101, for him to get Bijan Robinson and Zay Flowers in this draft, I mean, he won it. He won the draft right there. I think Zay Flowers, I get the appeal because I don't think Zay Flowers has wide receiver one upside in fantasy football. I think at best, he's a wide receiver too. I do love him. I think he's a versatile wide receiver that can play in and outside. So it hurts me that Kincaid didn't get back. It hurts me Zay Flowers didn't get back. I'm going to go right back to the tight end position here, though. And I think Mayer represents another teardrop here. Mayer, I don't think he's going to have a huge rookie season by any means, but I think he's going to work his way into the tight end 5 to 6 conversation for years to come. The guy is so solid in every aspect of his game. Needs to get a little bit better yards after the catch, a little bit better in contested catches. But after that, I like Michael Mayer a lot. I do agree that Kincaid has the higher upside. However, I'm going to go with Michael Mayer, and I'm drafting another floor play. I love the floor play. I love the floor play here, guys. I do
like it. For me, like I've actually debated a lot between Darnell Washington and Michael Mayer. I've said that I thought Darnell Washington was best tight. I think Darnell Washington is personally the best tight end in this class. But for fantasy, I think it's
production. Can't see
it. For fantasy, I want Michael Mayer. No, not for fantasy. For fantasy, I think it's Michael Mayer. But I think Darnell Washington is truly the best tight end in this class. I think he's the best, one of the best athletes in the class.
Okay.
He truly is amazing.
All right, we got Hoove in the chat right now. He's going to be making a pick. And then Kyle, you are back on the board. So after Hoove's pick, let us know in the chat, who do you guys want Kyle to take? This is the fan team. He already has JSN, so he already has one nice building block. Kyle, anyone sticking out here on the board for you? You got Hendon Hooker. You got Tank Bigsby as well. A lot of different intriguing options for you.
Yeah, I looked through the names, and I mean, when a guy is named Tank Bigsby, yeah, you do. I mean, come on. It's Tank Bigsby.
Okay, so Hendon Hooker off the board here.
Damn you, Hoove.
Kyle is leading with Tank Bigsby. A lot of good other running backs here. Zach Evans, Sean Tucker as well. Who do you guys in the chat want Kyle to take? Go ahead and drop that. He'll make this pick. So far, to me, Nate, this is a very normal rookie draft. I think this is exactly how we're going to see it go in Superflex tight end premium format.
Kincaid pick. I think Kincaid's probably going to go later in a rookie draft.
I could see him. I've seen him at least in some industry mocks go around that 112 mark. So
really?
What? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it depends because we can see him. We can see a lot. I think we can see Darnell Washington, Michael Mayer, or Kincaid get round 1 capital. Like any of those guys could.
Very easily, depending on landing spot. Yeah.
Yeah, if any of them do, they're worth that 112, 2.1 turn, all 3 of them, if they get round 1 capital.
Okay.
I've seen Kincaid mocked as high as top 20 in the NFL draft. So
that'd be insane.
Well, now to be fair, it was Lance Zierlein who had the Texans taking a defensive player at number 2.
Yeah. So, and then they traded up for Will Levis later in the draft, right?
I believe so. That's what
he did. Yeah, that was.
I mean, if they can do that, that's a pretty smart move. Quite honestly,
we already buried Mike Tannenbaum last week. Or bury any other mock drafters in the industry. Kyle, looks like Butte is what Dave's suggesting you go with. We don't have any other guesses here in the chat. Brad asking who's on the board. We got Kyle on the board here. Kyle, it's down to Butte or Tank Bigsby. Make your pick here, bud.
Spears too.
Yeah, Brad's saying
Yeah, I count Spears.
Spears is who I would be taking here personally as well. He is
Same.
after the top 3 running backs. He's actually right now. I haven't decided yet, but it's either Charbonnet or
third
Spears.
best back in this class hasn't gone yet.
Charbonnet or who are you stating there? Because I think it's Spears. I think Spears or Charbonnet.
I'm not gonna say it. I don't want him being taken. I want to
Okay.
be able to take him with my pick.
Okay. All right, Kyle. Looks like Spears is the consensus for you, buddy.
no Bigsby, but Spears is a good
Spears is a good name. So I think this is also another kind of hotter take. I feel like Kendry Miller, running back TCU, is the third best back in this class. To be quite honest with you guys, I am all in on Kendry Miller. Like he is a bit small, only about 210, but watching him play at TCU, he was hyper productive, averaged at least 6 yards per carry in every single one of his seasons, over 1,300 rushing yards in his last year. I am still very in on Kendry Miller. I'm a little concerned about the draft capital because most mocks I see don't have him going so high. He didn't do much at the combine, so a little bit worried there. But I truly believe talent-wise, he is the third best back in this class. And people have tried to knock his explosiveness. Well, he's not like running halfway across the field and back like Bijan Robinson on the 80-yard touchdown. He can absolutely get 20, 30, 40 chunk yard plays. If you watch the film, you can easily see that all the time with Kendry Miller. And he's not a premium pass catcher like a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Bijan, but he can absolutely take dump offs. If you get him in a situation where there's a lot of dump offs available, Kendry Miller will absolutely take advantage of that and get a very solid work as a pass catcher. So if Kendry Miller gets like day 2 capital, like round 2, if he can get in there or early round 3 at worst, I am going to be very, very in. I like him in the second round. So I think he's the third best talented back in this class. I'm going to take Kendry Miller at TCU. I really like him a lot.
Congrats, Hutch. You just drafted yourself, who I believe is Trey Sermon of the 2023 draft class. I apologize, but that's
okay. It's okay.
I think Miller's going to be a day 3 pick. I think he's going to be buried on depth charts.
If he's a day 3 pick, then I'm going to kind of move on. Honestly, like all these running backs, I could make an argument for all these running backs that, like a lot of these running backs, to be the RB3 of this class. But it's really, at the end of the day, it's all going to be about draft capital. That's it. The couple guys that are drafted around 2, I'm going to be in, and then the other guys, I'm going to be like, I don't know. Even Kendry Miller, even though I love him, if he's drafted around 4, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be super in.
Nate, you were up on the board here. A lot of running backs just went here, and I think that's exactly in everyone, all the listeners tonight.
Yeah,
I think that's in their mock draft. That's what we're going to see. There's this second tier of running backs: the Spears, the Millers, the Tank Bigsby, Zach Evans of the world. That's the run that's coming in this second round. So if you want in on one of those, you need to be somewhere in the middle to back end of this second round here, even in Superflex formats. Nate, where are you going here? 211 for you. Muted as well, my friend.
I'm going running back. I'm going to keep this run going, which I think, like you said, this is going to be very typical of most dynasty rookie drafts you're going to see. But I'm going to take a running back who I think is better than everyone here except for Tyjae Spears. Basically, he's my 4 or 5 running back in this class.
Is it who I think it is?
Is it Chase Brown?
It is not Chase Brown.
Oh, no. Bummer.
Guys, I'm just gonna pop
Roschon Johnson. It's
yeah.
Look,
great, man.
This guy would have been probably 2 or 3 in this class if he wasn't on the same team as Bijan Robinson. That's it. He was stuck behind Bijan Robinson his entire time at Texas. He's fast. He's quick with his feet. And of course, Dave, you know I was going to snipe you with Roschon. I've been talking about him for like 2 months and how he's just being slept on. Wherever he lands,
quarterback too. I love his skill set.
And he's smart, and you can see it on the field. And he doesn't even have to be the lead RB1 on a team to make a huge impact. He's going to be the guy who he's an adept pass catcher, much like Bijan. He's great between the tackles. He's great outside the tackles. He's a phenomenal pass blocker, which will keep him on the field more often. I think his ceiling really is, and not year 1, but I think we could see a couple seasons where he sneaks into that RB1 tier in his career, where it's like, oh, Roschon Johnson, running back 11 in 2025. would not surprise me one bit if he's right up there with Bijan for a handful of years over his career.
Ooh.
You're
I'm
getting
not
a
saying
little
he's gonna-
excited. You get
Well,
so
then, dude,
excited.
Have you
Bijan's
seen him?
career is only going to be a handful of years, though. That's the problem.
That's a fair
what running
point.
backs
Fair
are.
point.
I
That's what running backs
Well,
are. at
unless
this
you're
point.
Austin Eckler or Emmett Smith, apparently.
Yeah, well, running backs nowadays, they're out of the league by like 27, 28, man. Like you
See,
only
I'm
got a
wondering
handful of
though, we're seeing this move towards committees in most of the league.
Yes,
Because like you've
But
got
Bijan's
TJ
not going to be that. Whoever
Bijan won't be
Bijan-
that. But
Bijan
Roshan
is
very well
going to be the
could
next
be.
bell cow running back. Like
The thing
he's
with
gonna be that guy.
Roshan that's tough for me is I haven't seen a guy at 6'2", 223 pounds that I can even comp him for. So that's the tough part about him is it's hard for me to know truly what can his ceiling be outside of a third down running back. But he draws shades of other guys like Ramondre Stevenson who've kind of done it with a similar profile. So Nate, I'm intrigued by the pick. I don't think it was a bad pick. I'm back up here at the beginning.
yeah, I like it a lot.
Of the
Especially how many running backs are going.
Yes, yeah, 100% there, Hutch. I'm back up here at the beginning of the third round, and there's Kayshon Boutte on the board. He would probably be the consensus pick right now. I can't believe he's fallen to the third round, but I'll be honest, boys, I just don't see it with Boutte. Like when you have a season like he did and then come back this year and just have such a down season, I have question marks about it. I have question marks about his health.
And his name sounds too much like Booty. I mean, how can you even trust that?
We have a really good
How can you trust
profile on the site about him from Brad Bolt, and Brad's in the chat right now. Brad chatted a little bit and kind of compared him to a faster Jarvis Landry. And while that could be okay, like I just don't see it. I disappointing combine overall, so I can't go with Boutte. I'm going to go with my darling here, Chase Brown. I love this guy. He showed a complete workhorse mentality down there in Illinois. He's put them back on the map. I watch a lot of Big Ten football more than any other conference being a Penn State fan. And man, Chase Brown took it to us a couple years in a row. I love this guy. I think he is the one person in this next group of tier after Tajay Spears that could be an elite prospect for your fantasy team. I'm back on it, baby. Chase Brown, make the pick here. Kyle,
Love
back
it.
to you. I'm glad to hear a little bit of love for our guy Chase Brown. He is a Canadian. Shout out Toronto Dave. Kyle, how are you feeling about the team so far, buddy?
I like it. It's a good team. My team rocks, frankly. Looking at the available players, I want Tyler Scott. He's my cousin. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. We
really need the fans here.
Yeah, we need you guys' help in the chat.
Yeah.
Let Kyle know. Kyle is not an experienced Dynasty player whatsoever, so he's relying on you guys to let him know here.
Ooh, I like that one.
Boutte still on the board here for you. I think it's got to be him or Washington are probably the picks here. Let's see what the chat has to weigh in, though. Nate, are you surprised to see Darnell Washington, another one of your tight end darlings, last this long?
Quite frankly, yes. I just wasn't. I mean, if I hadn't taken Kincaid at 11, he's probably who I would have taken at the 211. So
okay. All right, we got some mixed reads here from the chat, Kyle. In the sake of time, I'm going to ask that you go ahead and pick one of these that they're laying out there: Eric Gray, Washington, or Boutte. I think those are all really good picks for you. Nothing to complain about. Okay, all right, Kyle. After that booty, he's getting down with it. I love it, Kyle. Hutch, it is back to you here in the middle of the draft here. You have two running backs, so is that on your mind at all, or are you just okay with pounding that?
Oh,
position?
I was. Yeah, here's the thing: when I approach rookie drafts, I usually tend to not try to build out. Like when I approach rookie drafts, in my league, I am so much more focused on best player available rather than need. So much more focused on that, because when you draft the best player available, you can always trade that player for what you need.
Agreed.
Don't just draft the position you want just to fill that position, because then you might get a player that is not as good and that you don't, and then end up sucks. It just draft for the best player available and then trade after.
Yep, I 100% agree. If not, sometimes you end up with Kyle Pitts over Jamar Chase. Hutch, you're on the board here. Go ahead.
There we go.
Yeah, make this next selection. I'm excited to see who you go. We're getting the deeper rookie class a little bit.
Yes, we are. I mean, this pick was easy for me. It was either Kayshon Boutte or Darnell Washington. So my decision was kind of made for me. I am worried about Boutte too, though, because it wasn't just the combine that was bad. I mean, he didn't rank in top 10 in pretty much any combine metric, like nothing. Like he didn't rank top 10 in anything. Like it was so bad. But he also fell off like hard towards the end of his career. Like he started off hot and then really fell off. And then the combine was bad. Like we haven't seen anything really good from Boutte for a while.
Agreed.
It's really, really concerning. And he's probably going to end up being a day 3 pick.
I think he'll still fall in that pick. Okay. I
think I could realistically see him going in like round 4. Like I would not.
I might have to check what the over under is in the prop market, but he's someone I was definitely. I'm not 100% sure, but we are kind of working on some stuff behind the scenes right now with some of those betting articles over here. So maybe that's one we'll take a gander and throw over there. Hutch, how are you feeling? All right, he went with Washington here. High ceiling. Is that what you like?
I mean, I was talking about it earlier in the draft. I love Darnell Washington. I think he's a freak athlete. If a team really decides to unlock his pass catching ability and use him as an athlete rather than just like a blocker, like he can truly be a tight end 1 in fantasy, not just like a low end tight end 1, like whatever, like a big time fantasy asset. I really do believe that he is the upside. Obviously, there is so much risk because he could just be a career blocker and that's it. Like he could really just be thrown into that area for his entire career. But at this point in the 3rd round of a rookie draft, I think this is so worth it. So worth it. The draft capital is going to show a lot because if a team drafts him in like the 1st round or early 2nd, it's going to show that, hey, we don't see you as just like a guy who can block, like a guy who can really make an impact for our team, like getting yards, getting touchdowns, getting receptions. Like I'm really, really excited to see where Darnell Washington goes and how high he goes in the draft. So I'm very, very excited for him. So I'll take him here in the 3rd round pretty easily.
He's a guy you're drafting on size and traits because we did not see the college production from him.
College production was not there.
Obviously, he's with Brock Bauer down there in Georgia, so he's working with one of the other best tight ends, so it's hard to find that production. Nate, Washington's off the board for you. Luke Musgrave also off the board. I think he was a value here. I'm sure you were tempted with him if he got back to you. Who is the pick, though?
So at this point, I was kind of between 2 players, 2 running backs, between Eric Gray and Deuce Vaughn. And what pushes me over the edge for Deuce Vaughn is the receiving upside. He had I got to pull this back up here. He had 49 and 42 catches his last 2 seasons, 468 receiving yards, 378 receiving yards. And the guy scores touchdowns. His size is a concern. He's 5'5". But as I kind of talked about before we got into this, once I get into the 3rd round, dude, I'm looking for guys that could pop that I'm not necessarily expecting to make that leap. He's a guy that I'm fine drafting in the 3rd round, and he can sit on my taxi squad for a couple seasons. If he takes off, awesome. If he doesn't, no harm, no foul, because that's really what you're looking for at this point in a draft. So for me, it's Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State. Twice, Dave.
Love it.
Sorry.
Love the pick there. Deuce Vaughn, really good story down there in Kansas State. Dave's going to be making his pick. And I'd say so far, guys, just kind of looking at the overall board, this is pretty standard. I think now we're seeing the mix of positions. I wouldn't be surprised here in the 4th round if we see a run of quarterbacks come through. Stetson Bennett, and some of the other Jake Hayners of the world are on the board here. So maybe we see a run here, Hutch.
Yeah, I think that absolutely is possible. And can I mention one thing real quick on Darnell Washington?
Yes, go ahead.
So Darnell Washington, right? He didn't have 50 career catches in college. Did not hit 50 career catches. But there's a really interesting thing I found on Twitter. You know who else caught less than 100 passes throughout their college career? Just a bunch of tight ends. These are all guys who caught less than 100 passes.
Go ahead. Yes.
Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, Jason Witten, Greg Olsen, Tony Gonzalez, Jared Cook, Vernon Davis. All of them caught less than 100 passes in their college career, and less than 50. George Kittle, Jimmy Graham, Antonio Gates, and Julius Thomas.
Okay, I like it.
It doesn't always matter. It doesn't always matter.
Yeah.
Just saying that.
Okay. All right. So
say that one last thing.
I'm back on.
Because when I was picking him, I remember I saw something somewhere. I had to find it for a second. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, a little more Washington love. Never a bad thing here on the program. We like to give a shout out to the tight end community. I'm back on the board here in the 4th round, 2nd overall pick. And I'm staring down two guys that I did not think would make it here to me. The first is none other than Muhammad Abraham. I love him out of Minnesota. Dude put Minnesota back on the map this year. Third in the NCAF in rushing yards, had over 320 carries. I like that he got so much work here this last year. But I think where I'm going to have to go with this, I think the highest upside player left who has a chance to splash his rookie year is none other than Iowa State's Xavier Hutchinson. This guy is a freak. He can jump, he can pinpoint that ball, and he's going to continue to make plays downfield. I'm excited for what Xavier Hutchinson can be. I think he can immediately step into a high-end wide receiver 3, a low-end wide receiver 2 role for a team, not for fantasy. But he reminds me a lot of a guy who came from this program, Alan Lazard. That's kind of my comp for this guy. A little more faster, a little more athletic than Lazard, but I think he's going to be someone, especially with his blocking, who makes his way onto the field in his rookie year. Give me some Xavier Hutchinson here in the 4th round, boys.
All right.
I like it. I like that a lot. That was definitely, if he was there, that was going to be my next pick. 100%.
Okay. All right. We got Hoove back on the chat or back on the map here. And then Kyle, you're up. Muhammad's still on the board for you, Kyle. How do you feel about that? A little Minnesota action for you, maybe?
Maybe. Nothing wrong with a little Minnesota love. That's that Tupac song, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We also have Little Yachty, Minnesota as well. So a little bit of Minnesota love there for sure. All right. Hoove, go ahead and make your pick, man. Let's move forward here to Kyle. Let's get this out of the way, and then we'll be back in the middle of the 3rd or 4th round here. Nate, anyone that you're hoping falls to you that you can lead on to us here as we wait?
So actually, Eric Gray, if he falls to me, fantastic. And then my namesake, Nathaniel Dell, who I think has been ridiculously slept on. And I don't know why people aren't understanding that he's a very talented receiver. Maybe it's the 40 time. He was a little bit slow. But with wide receivers, I don't care as much about, like, the 40 time's cool, but can they replicate that speed in a game? I care more about what they do once they get the ball. And Dell's kind of a master after the catch. He's got good footwork, and he's really good in open space. And I think wherever he lands now, probably a wide receiver 3 his first couple seasons, barring an injury on whatever wide receiver core he's on. But he's a guy I really like.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see if he falls down to you here, Kyle. We're getting a lot of love here for Eric Gray in the chat. I think that's a marvelous pick as well. I like A.T. Perry out of Wake Forest. That's a nice pick. And Muhammad. Kyle, really up to you here, man. Go ahead and click that draft button on one of them, my friend.
Well, you know what? We're going Eric Gray.
All right. All right. Eric Gray looked really good down at the Senior Bowl as well. He's moving up draft boards for sure. Hutch, back on here at the middle of the draft. You got a couple running backs, a tight end, no wide receivers yet. Are you going to take one here in the 4th?
No, I'm not going to go with a wide receiver because there's another running back in this class I really, really, really like at this point of the draft. I'm going to be going ahead and taking a shot at somebody who is super, super, hyper productive, both in the receiving game and the running game. I'm going to be taking Keaton Mitchell here.
Nice
one
pick,
one of my favorite sleepers of this class, Keaton Mitchell. I mean, just so hyper productive at East Carolina. I mean, 1,452 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns, 252 receiving yards in his last year. And then the year prior to that, 1,132 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns, 22 receptions, 253 yards. I mean, dude just produced numbers, and I want to see what he can do on the NFL field. So obviously, he is a bit small, a bit undersized, so it does limit his abilities as a running back, but he can catch passes, so I'm into that. Hopefully, he can get, like, round 3, round 4. I mean, I'm hoping he can sneak into there maybe, but I don't think he's going to be anywhere near round 2. I don't think we're expecting that at all. So I'm hoping he can get to, like, round 4 or round 3.
I love this pick, Hutch. I love the ECU Pirates. They were so fun to watch under Holton Ahlers this year. A little bit of a wrench in my side sometimes when I tried to bet against them, so I kind of just got on the bandwagon and started betting with them at the end of the season. We got Dynasty Pylon here saying, Mitchell, we like him. We want to see what he does too. It's exciting to see. 100%, man. Thanks for tuning in tonight, Dynasty Pylon. You're new to the chat, bro. Appreciate it. Hope you're subscribed to the channel. Come back and hang out with us again. Nate, you're back on the board. Is Tank Dell still the pick? Some interesting running backs still on the board as well.
Tank Dell's the pick.
Yeah,
and I've already explained it, so we can move on.
I love it. I love it.
It would
All-
if Keaton Mitchell wasn't there, that would have been my pick as well.
And I'm seeing
Love
some
that.
running back slides still, to be honest, fellas. Like this is how deep this running back class is in 2023 compared to previous seasons, and something we need to keep in mind. Like right here, I can't believe it. I was just thinking about taking Muhammad Ibrahim last round, and now he's back here in the 5th. If this wasn't him, this probably would Stenson Ben's off the board as well, but I would consider Bennett. But yeah, I love Ibrahim here. Also, Kyle, I think it's going to come back to you here. And could you look at my guy Parker Washington out of Penn State? A little We Are Nittany Lions love, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I don't love Penn State, but
Yeah, you're a pick guy. You're a pick guy. Loyal the day you die. I get it.
yeah. But I mean, it's not really my draft, so
Yeah.
whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, chat, let us know where you want Kyle to go. He's got one more pick here. Got a really nice squad so far that he's put together. We'll go ahead. I think Hoove might have left out on us. I'll go ahead and set that pick. And let's go ahead. Kyle, you're back on the board. No Parker Washington, though. I apologize, bud.
Damn.
Got some recommendations from the chat, though. Here we have, we got Joey. He's in the chat. Hoove takes Abaca. Yep, there we go. Appreciate seeing you tonight, Joey. Hope you're having a good evening, my friend. All right, Kyle, you're on the board, man. It's wide open for you. McIntosh. Is McIntosh still around here, boys?
He sure is.
Is he?
No, he's not. He went
Yeah.
4-3.
Yeah, so not many RB options here. Rodriguez, probably the top of that board here. I think Cameron Peoples is still around. I really like him as well. Kyle, go ahead and make this pick, and then we'll move on to Hutch and close this puppy up.
Yeah, there we go.
We got Brad in the chat, the honorary Michael Wilson shout out. Love Michael Wilson. Dee Trey Palmer. She likes Trey Palmer. That's a good pick. That's a good pick there, Dee.
Oh, wait.
Hutch, where are you going here? You gonna take some Nebraska love here with Trey Palmer and Dede's recommendation?
No, I'm actually gonna go with more East Carolina. Actually, I'm gonna take someone who was very productive his last year with East Carolina. I'm gonna hope that he can continue this in the NFL. I know this is a dart throw, but I mean this is where we're at in rookie drafts. I'm gonna look for somebody who's very productive. I'm gonna take CJ Johnson. I'm gonna take him here. I'm gonna go for it.
Love
so
it.
I got Keaton Mitchell and CJ Johnson, both on the same team, both from the same college. I'll take it.
If I didn't know any better, Hutch, I would say you're from Greenville out there in North Carolina, my friend.
No.
All right. I love the pick here, Nate. Go ahead and round it out here. Still,
I would have also loved Parker Washington too. I would have loved
yes.
that,
Thank
but
you.
he was stolen
Thank
from
you.
me.
Thank you, Nate. A lot of really good options on the board. Ford Wheaton comes to mind. Trey Palmer, like Dede said, just
Begging not to get sniped in the 5th round of a rookie draft. This is the 5th round. Begging not to be sniped.
I'm sorry, Dave, but I think I am about to snipe you because Dede brought it up and I was already planning on it because I assumed he was going to follow this pick. But dude, you guys, Trey Palmer is so freaking good.
Palmer, yeah.
He spent 2 seasons behind Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, got almost no opportunity at LSU. Then he goes to Nebraska, and now I'm a big CU guy. So
CU.
This used to be one of the biggest rivalries in college football. It's not so much anymore. 71 catches on 111 targets, 1,043 yards, and he had 9 touchdowns. And
Dude's a burner. If
you look at his junior season at LSU, he had 259 special teams yards. So this guy is a versatile player. Now, there aren't a whole lot of leagues that allow special team yardage and touchdowns for individual players. But if you're in one of those leagues, Trey Palmer's probably going in the 3rd round, not the 5th. And really, in any draft, you guys, he should be going in like the 3rd or 4th round, not the back end of a 5th round. This guy is talented. He's fast. He's an adept route runner. So for me, it's Trey Palmer. Sorry, Dave. I love you, buddy.
All right, guys, I love it. We'll let Dave make his pick, and we'll kind of just put an end to this mock draft before we jump into the good news of the week. And
I forgot about that.
realistically, I think overall, kind of looking at the board here, I think this is a very accurate mock draft of what we're going to get here in 2023, guys.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks are going to go off the board early. You're going to see that second round running back run go, and then you can take your shot on some more deeper shots at running back, wide receiver here. Hutch, if I have one, give me one sentence for a big takeaway from this mock draft, what you've learned and anything you'll apply when it does come rookie mock draft season for you in your leagues.
Wow, one big takeaway. When you're looking late in the draft, I want to keep looking at these running backs. I want to keep looking at them because I keep seeing names in the like third, fourth round, second round even. And like I'm just like, these guys could all be starters in the NFL. Like this running back class is so, it's not necessarily like they're all superstars, but it's so deep. A lot of these guys could really make an impact. So when you're late, I want to favor that running back position. Just keep an eye on it because there are so many good players down here.
Love it, Hutch. My biggest takeaway for this is I am trying to move aging veterans to move up in this draft class because there are even people that we did not take in these 5 rounds that I love. I love Cameron Peoples. I love Ford Wheaton out of West Virginia, Michael Wilson out of Stanford. There's some really cool options here that didn't even go in 5 rounds that I would love to pick up off the waiver wire, throw them in my taxi squad. I want the roster flexibility to do that this season. So if I have to move off an aging veteran wide receiver like Mike Evans, try to get myself in that early second round, late first round, something like that, like I'm willing to do that this season. I love this draft class here, Nate. Your biggest takeaway, my friend.
Well, then I'm going to be having a lot of Dalton Kincaid. And if Trey Palmer is going to fall to me in the 5th round of a rookie draft, I'll take it, man. Y'all can sleep on him all day. But if you're listening to us, hopefully you're not going to sleep on him. Unless you're in my leagues, then keep sleeping on him. But otherwise, go after Trey Palmer in late rounds. He could be the Isaiah Pacheco of this year's draft.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really
All right.
could.
All right. Well, we got Sam Laporta. He was the last one off the board. Love that pick as well. I mean, just how good is this tight end class? We're going to learn here real soon. I like that pick there out of Iowa for Dave to close it out. Don't know how he got that far. Guys, let's go ahead and round out the show tonight with a little bit of good news. Let's go ahead and hit it. All right. And final time, I'm gonna mention it just because I know we have some new listeners tonight. We are giving away a Keyshawn Nixon autographed mini helmet salute to service Packers. So if you guys want to get in on that, just give us a thumbs up or something in the chat. Let us know you're subscribed, and we'll go ahead and enter that as we pull that winner next week on the episode here. Again, we're live every Tuesday night, 9:30 for the In Between Fantasy Football podcast during the season or during the off season, then twice a week during the regular season. All right, guys, let's talk about some good news. Some really cool stuff's been happening in the world, despite what we are led to believe. Hutch, what was your good news headline of the week, my friend?
So my headline for this episode, it could have been really bad, but it ended up being a really good, real heroic story. So my headline here is humble chef breaks open sinking car's window with his elbow to save a trapped motorist. So apparently, this was an unidentified man drove straight into the frigid and filthy mid-March harbor water in Baltimore's Inner Harbor and suffering what reports say a mental health crisis. So I don't know if it was something like accidental or on purpose or what on earth this person was doing, but drove in and the car started singing. And this chef, this guy was just working as a chef in a local, the restaurant was called Phillips Seafood. He was working down there and he just saw this and dove in and just saved this guy's life.
Fuck yeah, man.
Such
That's
a heroic
awesome.
moment.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, and that's what it's all about, dude. We've been hearing about a lot of this stuff happening. Blaine Gabbert saved someone during the NFL season in Tampa Bay.
We saw KJ Osborne.
KJ Osborne just a couple weeks ago. Yeah, grabbed someone out of a burning car. So congrats to Chef. We appreciate you, Chef, making sure someone's life is saved.
I wish his name, but it's not written on here on the article.
Okay.
I wish I had his name, but it's not here.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. Nate, before I hand things off to you, I do want to – I can't wait any longer. I got to talk about it. Women's college basketball, guys, it is back. It is back with
Love
a
this,
passion.
love
A
this.
record-breaking 9.9 million viewers of the national championship women's game this year, LSU versus Iowa. Per ESPN PR, most viewed women's college basketball game on record, up 103% from last year's title game. Most viewed college event ever on the ESPN platform. Men had about 11.2 million, so just about an extra million on there. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, like this is the real deal, folks. Women's college basketball is so much fun. And this is like one of the things that I actually think the NIL is really helping, because these women can make more money in college basketball, probably having more fun doing it as well than going to the WNBA. So I love this story. I love women's college basketball right now. Caitlin Clark is an absolute legend with the ball. So I'm excited to continue to follow this. Nate, were you plugged into the NCAA women's college basketball tournament? Probably not, because you're a mark, but that's a different story.
It's funny that you would even ask me that. I don't have time for that, man. But yes, I did. I was paying attention. I love it. I love that it got the audience that it got. I love that it outdid a lot of NFL games this past season. I think there were only like 3 or 4 NFL games that topped this. Look, women in sports, as you know, is something that I think needs to be made more common. It's a real bummer that these girls can't go and continue their careers. The WNBA doesn't play that well, so a lot of them, if they want to keep playing basketball, they have to go overseas. This is the last time we're going to see a lot of these women play, and they were so damn good. I did watch some of the game, and I watched highlights of all of the games. It was just impressive to me. And you guys, if you're upset about the hand gestures, get over it, all right? It was fun to watch, and in the heat of competition, that stuff happens. You should be appreciating what these women did. They're bringing women's college basketball to the forefront, and arguably, and I got roasted for this. I said this on Twitter like 2 years ago. I watched an entire WNBA game. I never watched one before, and you remember this.
You actually getting buried for this. But
I don't care, because I still agree. The WNBA, if you're a basketball purist that just loves the sport, it's a better product than the NBA. There's less fouling. There's less showmanship. They go out there, they play as a team. And for me, it was more fun to watch. And I hope that this helps grow the women's game on a professional level. I hope that those 9.9 million people that watch, maybe now they'll turn to some WNBA games and get that a little bit more popular, because it really is a phenomenal product. Whether you agree with me where I say it's a better product than the NBA, I get it's not for everybody, but you can't disagree with me that it's a phenomenal product. And I really hope this helps pump it back into the mainstream. Like, let's get these women some love. Let's get them some contracts in the NBA. Let's get them some TV money. They deserve it.
Hutch, I want to turn to you just on this before we close out on this. What is the vibe like around teenagers right now with college women basketball? Is it kind of entering the chat a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm not as plugged in with because I'm not like a popular person at school. Like I don't have many friends. So I'm not really like plugged into like the teenage world on this. But honestly, if I were to had to guess, I would guess yes, that people have been more interested on this. I did hear like some discussions at school about the Reese versus Clark, like and all that drama. Like people were really debating about it and talking about it at school and stuff. And I wish I could like say more, but there's like, you guys said it really perfectly. I really just completely agree with what you guys have both put out there. In the teenage world, I don't really know. I would hope it is, but right. I honestly, I don't have a clear answer there. I know it's trending more in me, honestly, but I don't know about everyone else.
Hey, and they're here to stay, folks. Caitlin Clark, she still has 2 years of eligibility to use if she wants it because of the COVID season. Hopefully she does. We shall see. Nate, round us out here with your good story of the week, my friend.
Well, mine's not as fun as you guys's, but I came across I subscribe to the Good News Network, so I get an email every morning with like 3 or 4 just like good news stories.
Not gonna lie, that's actually the site I looked up my article, and I know what article you're about to shout out because I saw the headline too.
So, dude, this amateur gold digger in Australia found this 10.1 pound rock, took it to this guy and was like, I think there might be some gold in this. The dude's like, oh, there's probably a little. They cracked it open, $160,000 worth of gold buried in this rock.
Dog.
Dude. isn't that like all our dreams? Like just to randomly find gold somewhere? Like, did you guys ever do the panning when you were a kid?
Yes.
Did they ever have that?
Yeah, I went on
And
like in third grade. I went on like a coal mine trip or something. We had like pans and we were digging out like little gems in the dirt. It was awesome.
They're actual old gold mines in Colorado. There's one, Seth, if you ever come out and visit, there's one like 30 minutes from our house. 45 minutes from our house we can drive up to. So like, I don't know. This struck me as cool. And there's this neat picture of this dude holding this big rock and you can see the veins of gold on the outside, but you don't think inside of it. I think they said it's the largest like independent find of just one solid rock of gold in the history of Australia. This dude's rich now. So that's pretty freaking cool, right?
Question for you. Is that our listener turned staff member, Brad Bolt from Australia over there? Is that who the story's about, bud?
Well, he certainly didn't tell me, and we talk every day, so I think I would have heard.
Well, hopefully, Brad, maybe you're next, baby. Maybe we actually do have a pretty strong listening and website audience from Australia, which we greatly appreciate. So, yeah, I hope our listeners and our subscribers are the next into this. But yeah, Nate, great to round it out there with this feel good story. Hutch, we can't thank you enough, man, for being on with us here. I know it's getting into the later night hours here, so tell us.
I'm fine.
Tell us one more time where we can find you and how we can best support you as the 2023 NFL season is about to unfold.
So yeah, you guys go follow me on Twitter. I'm at HutchinsonB_FF. I work with Footballguys for their YouTube channel. I write with DLF. I'm also working on a YouTube show with DLF, potentially. So keep an eye out for that. Host of Hutchinson Brown's Fantasy Football Perspective. It's pretty much my own podcast that I do. You can check that out. And I'm also working on a Patreon for my content. I'm going to come out with a couple different things, maybe some Dynasty rankings, and I'm looking on a draft kit as well. Like some awesome things are coming out this year. I'm really looking to make a big push this year. So any form of support, whether it's a follow on Twitter, whether it's interacting with me on Twitter or just listening to my podcast or sharing my content anywhere, would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I'm just a 16-year-old trying to make his way in the fantasy football space. That's really what I'm here to do. So any form of support is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Fuck yeah, man. Dude, we absolutely will be fans of yours as you continue here in the industry. We're excited to see what unfolds. And I'll tell you the same thing that, Field Yates told me a couple years ago, that what you're envisioning now, your future, I guarantee it's going to be way better than you can even envision right now, man, because you're dedicated, you're a good person, and that's what matters here in this space, man. So keep it up, guys. Make sure you're interacting with Hutch. Wherever he is, make sure you're listening to his podcast as well. Appreciate Toronto Dave and everyone new in the chat tonight. It's been so much fun, guys. We greatly appreciate all the support from the IBT family. We wouldn't be where we are without you guys. We'll be back next week with another episode, some more fun, some more hijinks along the way here. That's what you can expect at the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast. And until then, guys, keep it in between.